All right, let's take a whirlwind tour of life itself. We're going to go from the tiniest little code that makes us who we are, all the way up to the massive, connected ecosystem of our entire planet. Let's dive into the big picture of biology.
So here's the ultimate question, right? When you look at everything from a single cell to a huge rainforest, how does it all actually work? How can one simple set of rules create everything from bacteria to blue whales? Well, that's the puzzle we're going to unravel, starting at the very, very bottom.
Every living thing you've ever seen, and all the ones you haven't, are all built from the exact same master plan. It's like a secret code, a universal blueprint for all of life.
And that blueprint? It's DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. This is the instruction manual for building, well, anything alive. This one molecule is what determines your eye color, how tall a tree grows, even the song a bird sings. It's the one language that all life on Earth shares.
So, how is this incredible code written? You'd be surprised at how simple it is. Every piece of DNA is built from these little units, and each one has just 3 parts: a phosphate, a sugar, and a base. And those bases, A, T, C, and G, just think of them as the 4 letters of the genetic alphabet. The specific order they're in is what spells out the instructions for everything. Okay, so having a blueprint is great, but a blueprint is pretty useless if you don't have a workshop to actually read it and build the thing, right? So where does all this genetic information get put to work? That workshop is the cell. It's the smallest, most fundamental unit of life, but it's also this incredibly busy, complex factory that takes the DNA blueprint and turns it into the real, functioning machinery of a living creature. And it turns out there are 2 main models for this factory. On one side, you've got the simple, efficient prokaryotic cells, like bacteria. Their DNA just kind of floats around inside. But then you have the more complex eukaryotic cells, the kind that make up you, me, plants, and animals. These have a dedicated head office, called the nucleus, to protect the DNA, plus all sorts of other specialized departments. And man, inside this factory, every department has a critical job. The nucleus is the control center, holding the blueprints. The mitochondria are the powerhouses, generating all the energy. Ribosomes are the assembly lines, cranking out proteins. And the cell membrane, that's your security team, controlling exactly what gets in and what gets out. But here's the thing. A living organism isn't just a bag of these little factories. All those cells have to work together, perfectly coordinated, to keep a stable, constant internal environment, no matter what's going on outside. This whole balancing act is called homeostasis. It's the reason your body temperature stays right around 98.6 degrees, whether it's freezing cold or scorching hot outside. It is absolutely essential for survival, because the delicate machinery of life only works under very specific conditions. So, how do cells pull this off? Well, one way is the easy route, passive transport. It's simple, really. Molecules naturally move from a place where they're crowded to a place where there's more room. It's like coasting downhill on a bike. It takes 0 energy. But sometimes a cell has to move things against that natural flow, and that's active transport. Think of it like pushing a giant boulder uphill. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of energy, which the cell pays for using a special energy molecule called ATP. This is how cells pump materials exactly where they need to be, even if it's uphill. Okay, so we've got the blueprint, the factory, and the balancing act, but that still doesn't explain the mind-boggling diversity of life, does it? How did we get so many different kinds of organisms? The answer lies in this slow, incredibly powerful engine of change that's been running for billions of years. And that engine is called natural selection. Charles Darwin's famous idea is actually really simple. In any environment, some individuals are just naturally a little better suited to survive than others. And because they're a better fit, they're more likely to live long enough to have offspring and pass on the very traits that help them succeed in the first place. Now, for natural selection to work, you need a few key ingredients. The first one is inherited variation. Just look at any group of people or animals. No 2 are exactly alike. These small genetic differences are the raw material that evolution gets to work with. The second ingredient, competition. Let's face it, the world doesn't have unlimited food, water, or space. There's only so much to go around. And this creates a constant pressure, a continuous struggle for survival among all the individuals in a population. And here's where it all comes together. You combine that natural variation with that constant competition, and what happens? Some individuals do better than others. The ones with traits that give them an edge are more likely to survive and have kids, passing on those winning traits. Do that over countless generations, and the population itself starts to change. It evolves. So let's zoom all the way out for the biggest picture of all. All of these individual organisms and evolving populations, they don't exist in a bubble. They're all woven together into these huge, complex systems that make up the very fabric of life on our planet. The heart of these systems is all about the flow of energy. It kicks off with producers, like plants, that capture sunlight. Then, that energy moves to the consumers who eat the plants, and then to other consumers. And finally, you have the decomposers, the cleanup crew, who break everything down and recycle all the nutrients right back into the system so it can all start over. This whole web of life is built on countless relationships between species. We call these symbiotic relationships. In mutualism, it's a win-win, like a bee and a flower. In commensalism, one benefits and the other is just meh, unaffected. And in parasitism, one species benefits by hurting the other. All of these tiny interactions create our incredibly complex and interconnected world. So, there we have it. We've gone from a single strand of DNA all the way to the entire biosphere. We've seen how a universal code gets built in a cellular factory, how organisms maintain their balance and evolve, and how they all connect into this massive global web. Which kind of leaves you with one big thought, doesn't it? If every living thing, from the smallest microbe to us, is written in the exact same language, what does that really tell us about our connection to it all?